Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be going over the MyMFG Plus trainings, specifically for building funnels, creating some custom fields, adding those custom fields to forms and or a survey, and then we'll get into setting up a domain using DNS, which is a domain naming system. So get ready. Okay, when you're building a funnel, first thing you need to do is once you log into the MyMFG Plus CRM, on the left-hand menu, we've got sites, so click on sites. And then we wait for it to load, and up across the top, we've got funnels, websites, blogs, client portal, forums, surveys, etc. We're going to be using a couple of these, but for right now, we're going to go to funnels, and we're going to create a funnel from scratch, but let me show you what it's going to look like at the end. So we're going to be building this funnel right here. Let me pull up that page. So this is what the page looks like once it's all completed. It has a form on there where people can either schedule an appointment or they can send you a message and they submit this information. It's got your privacy policy, your terms, all your social links and things like that. You could even put your picture in here. You've got lots of different options. So let's go into the editing page. So once you click on funnels, let's get back there. Under the 0.0 brochures funnels, you'll see a bunch of different options. And we're just going to choose this Medicare Confused one right here. So click on that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to edit this page. So the pages are broken up into a couple different areas. So over here on the top left-hand corner, you've got the add elements, layers, pages, tracking codes, custom CSS, typography, background, pop-up settings, SEO metadata, preview custom codes. I wouldn't worry about that one. Over here on the top right, we've got versions, undo and redo. We've got to hide the settings option. You can preview it, save it, and publish it. And then here in the center, you've got a desktop mode, and then you also have a mobile mode. So you can see what one looks like on each version. Today, we're just going to be dealing with the desktop mode. Okay? So first thing is, you need to understand how these websites are kind of broken down. In the center, we've got a version of the website here, okay? And things are broken down in a couple different things. You'll see as I move around, you see these boxes that are highlighting around certain areas. And the boxes are different colors based on where they are and what they do. So everything starts off with, let's add an element here. And we have sections, rows, and then in those rows can also be columns. And then there's elements in those rows and columns. You can also have custom areas called sections, which are global sections, or you can have section templates, which makes it a lot easier for, let's say, the headers or the footers, which should be, the exact same across all the pages, right? So let's say you would create a footer and you want that footer to be on every page exactly the same. You would just create the footer as a section template and then add that section template. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start off with a section. Before I go editing this, I'm going to pull up a blank website or a blank funnel page so you can see it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to add a new step to this, and I'm just going to call it a test step. You don't have to worry about the path or the ClickFunnels stuff. That's if you're importing. We're just playing around here. And we're going to go from blank, and you'll notice that this is just a blank page right now. So first thing we want to do is we want to decide, okay, how big of a section do we want to add? Do we want a full width section? So a full width of your desktop. Do we want a wide, a medium, or a small, which would probably be for mobile? I 99% of the time select a full width. So now we've got a section over here, and you'll notice the section is in green. Next thing we need to do is add a row in that section. So you can either click add row here, or over on the left-hand side, you can click the plus sign and click add rows. And there's a couple of different kinds of rows. You can do a 1-column row, a 2-column row, 3, 4, 5, 6-column row, or you can have as many columns in there as you want. There's no limit, I guess, except for size. So we're actually going to choose just a 1-column row for the header, right? So this is at the top of the web page. This is typically where your logo, your telephone number, things like that are going to go. Now, right here, you'll see you have a blue section, that's the row, and then a lavender or purple section, and that is the column within those rows. So let's pull over a 2-column so you can see the difference. And there's a 2-column. You'll see that you've got a lavender column right there and a lavender column right there. So this is 2 columns and this is 1 column. But right now, they're blank. They don't have anything in them. So what we want to do is we want to add an element. An element is either text, or you could add a form or a blog or media like video or an image. You could add an FAQ section. So there's lots of different options as far as elements are concerned. And they're all in this little window. You can also click that plus sign and the elements will pop up right there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do, let's say we wanted to add your logo. So we would add to your image and we just click, drag, and drop. And now we've got your image. Now, this is just a placeholder. So what we need to do is over on the right-hand side, we have to select your image. So right here, you have image options, and you're going to select right here. Now, if your image is not there, you would need to upload that file. Typically, PNG files work the best because they have a transparent background. So in other words, if you have it on a JPEG, that might be a white or a black background, and that would be your default background that you would have to match to. With PNG files, they don't have background, or it's an option to have a transparent background, so just the logo would show up. So we're going to add that logo here, and we're just going to double click on it. Now, the logo is added to the page, but you notice it's really big. We don't need something this big. So we would want to change the size of it using these width and height pixels here. And I'm going to just change it to, let's say, 50 pixels, see what that looks like. That's a little bit small. So let's check out and go to 100 pixels. That's 10, there's 100. That's a little bit better. I think we might want to go up one more size, 200. That's probably a little bit too big. Let's cut it in half. There's 150. Okay. Now, I don't want this in the center. I would prefer that this go on the left-hand side. So right here, we've got your alignment options, and I'm just going to align that on the left-hand side. So now there you go. We've got our simple header. Now, typically what we would do is we may want to put our telephone number on the right-hand side. For example, right here. Don't think you can see it. Let me see if I can't see it here. There you go. We've got a telephone number, which is blank here, and we've got a white logo, which you can't see. So you would put a logo here and a telephone number here. So let's put that in there. So instead of a 1 column, we're actually going to do a 2 column. So I'm going to click this image right here. And right here, there's these little grab bars. You can just click, drag, and drop that down to the second one. So now we've got 2 columns, one with an image, one with nothing. And I'm going to click on this row in the blue, and I'm going to click and delete that row. Now what we want to do is we want to add text, and we're going to add a headline. So just click and drag and drop the headline in there. And you want to add the telephone number. So let's go 1-888 555-1212. Okay. So now you've got your telephone number in there, you've got your logo in there, and that's looking pretty good. Now what we would want to do is add a second section. So let's click here, and we're going to go back to rows, and we're going to just do a 2-column row again. I'm sorry, we need to add a section. So we're going to go to sections, and we're going to do full width, and we're going to push that one right underneath the other one. We're going to add a row, and we're going to do a 2-column row again. And on this side, we want to have some information right here. So it looks like we've got some text, we have a button, we've got a little bit more text. So we would do that. So let's add some text. So we're going to add an element, and this element is going to be headline text. And then we wanted to add a button. So you can click this little plus sign right there, and you're going to add a button. And then you're going to click the little plus sign. You're going to add some more text. And this time I believe it was subtext. Looks a little bit smaller. This is bold, and this is a little bit smaller. You got some formatting issues, but by and large, we have the general layout, right? We have text, we have a button, we've got some more text. So what we can do is just copy this text. So we don't have to type it out. And I'm going to change this text and just paste it right there. I copied a bunch of spaces, so let's clean that up. And next we've got a button, and this button says that's where I come in. So if I click on this button, it says click to sign up. Well, we don't want it to say that. We want it to say that's where I come in. So over on the right hand side, you've got your text information. That's where I come in. Now we've got a red button, but this is a green button. So let's change the color of the button. So up here, we've got the background color for the button, and you can pick any of these general colors, or didn't find your color, you can add your own custom color, and then you would just click this little box right there and choose any color in the rainbow. I'm going to choose red here, and we'll add that right there. So that's where I come in. Now we've got some more text, and I'm just going to copy this and highlight that and paste it in there. The formatting got a little wonky, but that's okay. We know how to fix that. Over on the left-hand side, let's highlight everything in there. We're going to left align that. And notice we've got some bold, we've got some not bold, just normal text. So we probably want to unbold all of this. So highlight it, and I'm just going to change it from bold to regular text. There you go. What I'm noticing though is that the spacing isn't really like what it is on this page. This has much nicer spacing. You don't want to jumble everything together, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add some spaces before and after this button. So I'm going to click on the element before, and over on the right hand side, you notice you've got margin and padding. And you've got these padding on top, left, right, and bottom. So we're going to add some padding. So we're going to add, let's say, 40 pixels. And then we're going to click on this one, and we're going to do, so that is the button pixels, and then this is the space, the margin around it. So let's add the margin around it, add another 40 right there. And then for this one, this is all in the same box. So to spread this out a little bit, I'm just going to put a space in there. So now it's spread out a lot more. Let's check it against this one. Looks pretty good. The color is a little bit different, but we're just playing around here. Now you notice this one also has square corners. This one had rounded corners. This one also has, it looks like it has a drop shadow here. You can get in here and play around with it. Over on the left-hand side, you can change the color of the text. So if you wanted to change the text color, you could do that. You wanted to change the subtext color. So there's black, there's yellow. So you have lots of different options. You can also do the themes. And if you go to themes, you can choose any one of these themes and it'll just correct it to that. There you go. Now, if you wanted to make these corners rounded under the advanced tab over here on the right-hand side, you've got full width or fluid. You also have button effects where you can make it glow. You can make it rock back and forth. You can make it, here's the rocking. You can make it bounce in a loop. So you have some button effects there. And then you could also add a drop shadow. Right now it's got a mid shadow, but if I wanted to change this to a hard shadow, you could do that. And you could also, down the bottom, it says no border. And we're going to change that to a full border. And we're going to have a 2-pixel border, but we're going to change the color. And we're going to change it to transparent. I don't want to see the border. I just want to have the border. And then I'm going to create a border radius of, let's say, 20 pixels. And now we've got those rounded corners that we were looking at. You could also change the edges, right? So you could do it on your top edges only, so it makes it look like a tab on a folder. You could do it on the bottom edges only. And I'm going to do it on all edges. That makes it look like a button. Okay? Once you've got that, click Save. So now we need to work on the right side. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do the actual create the form in this training. We'll have a secondary training on creating the form. I've already got a form, so I'm going to add an element. And I'm going to add a form. Just click, drag, drop it over. And I'm going to select my form. Medicare Confused. Now, it really helps if you name the form exactly what the web page is so that you know, hey, this is the form that goes with that web page. Let's see what else we might be missing on this. Okay, so this top is aligned with this. We also have some text up at the top here, schedule an appointment. You could also do message me now, whatever your messaging is. So we needed to add some text there. So we're going to click over here. We're going to click add headline. We're going to add the headline over to here. Just drag it in the spot that you want to leave it. And message me below. If you want to change the color of your text, you can change it here. Just highlight that and you can change your color options there. And this is going to be bold text. Let's change it to red. And this form is already there. So there's your submit button. Now you cannot edit anything in this form. You need to go into the edit area for the forms, not the funnels or the websites, to make any changes to this form. But there it is. Now, the other thing that I noticed was that this was in alignment, that it was top aligned to this column. So right now the columns are a little bit off kilter, if you will, and we want to make those top even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on this column right here. I'm going to make sure that this column has a different alignment. So right now it's got a vertical alignment, which is fine, but I want it to be left spaced. And that'll move everything up to the top. Now, I could have also spaced it around, spaced it evenly, spaced it between, spaced it on the right, spaced it in the center. So just play around with it, whatever you're looking for. Now, the vertical is, it says 3 different elements in there, right? And if you change that to horizontal, it puts everything horizontal. That looks horrible. So we're going to keep ours in a vertical format for that. Now, this content alignment box only impacts the row, or I'm sorry, the column that you're on at the specific time, right? So I highlighted that one purple column right here. You can see the outline right there, and that's what's being changed right now. So there you go. You can see how that works. All right, what's next? The next thing we need to do is add your footer. And this one has a privacy policy on here, terms of service, and some social media buttons. It also has a different color background. So let's go in and fix that. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and we're going to add a new section. And this is a wide section. Just click and drag it down the bottom. And you noticed this has got a couple different rows, right? So it probably has a row over here for a logo or something. We just can't see it. So it's probably 1, 2, 3 columns in one row, possibly 2 rows. So we're going to play around with this for a little bit. We're going to add some rows, and we're going to do a 3-column row here. In the first column, we're going to add an element of an image. And where's my images? Here's my image. Click, drag, and drop it over. That's going to be my logo again. So go out, select my logo, double click it, and there's my logo. It's way too big, so change the size again. I'm going to change this to 100. Typically, footer logos are a little bit smaller than header logos. In the center, we've got 2 different elements. There's a couple different ways you can do these elements. I like to put these as buttons. Even though it doesn't look like a button, this is most likely a button. And I'll show you why here in a second. But buttons have a little bit more functionality and flexibility than non-buttons or just text link. So I'm going to show you both, and I'm just going to copy that. And the first one is going to be my privacy policy. And the bottom one is going to be my terms of service. Now, if you did your onboarding with us, everybody that onboarded with us has a privacy policy and the terms of service. If you don't know how to find that, let me know, but it is at the bottom of every one of your funnel pages. So that's where you can buy it or find it. Now, I don't want this to be a colored button. I want this to be a transparent button. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the text color. And I'm going to change it to, let's say, black. And I'm going to change this one to black also. The next thing I want to do is I want to change the button color. And the button color is going to be transparent. So I'm going to click that one, and now it's transparent. And click that one, and this one is going to go transparent also. So you'll never know that it's a button unless you roll over it, which is really nice. Okay? Now, I'm also going to do something else. I needed to do a link on this. Okay? And that link is to my privacy policy page. Now, I've already built my privacy policy page, but right here, the button action, I can either have it open up a button, a pop-up, website URL is what we're going to use, but you can also show or hide elements, scroll to an element, go to the next step, go to a specific step in a funnel, one-click call, SMS, email address. You can issue a membership. So this is why I use buttons. Buttons have a lot more features in it than just a text does. Okay, but we're going to open up a website URL. And I don't know the exact URL, but I'm just going to use Google for right now. https://google.com. So we're going to pretend that's my privacy policy. And then for my terms of service, I'm going to change that to website URL. And we're going to change that to google.com also, HTTPS. Now, obviously, you would put the exact address of your privacy policy. I don't have one right now, so I'm just going to use that for now. What else are we missing? Oh, I think we're missing social buttons, right? So now we need to do the social buttons. And we're going to click Add Element. And we've got social icons right here. So just click Drag Drop. So now you've got a bunch of social icons, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to add. So let's say you don't have an Instagram account, so just delete Instagram. We'll delete that one out of here. Nobody uses X, so delete that one. And LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. That looks great. Okay. Now, you can also change it. A couple display types. You can change the icon. You can just have it text. You can make it look like an icon or icon and text. You can change the icon size. So if you thought those were a little bit too big, you could change it to, let's say, 20 by 20. Okay, so you've got a couple different options there. Let's put those back up to 40 so I can see them. So now we need to edit the Facebook one. And we need to make sure that when somebody clicks on the Facebook one, it actually pulls up the Facebook page. So let me pull up my Facebook page. All right, you got your PopMix Facebook page right here. And I'm going to copy this URL right there. I'm going to go back to the editing page. I'm going to go back to Facebook right here. Just click there. And then right here, there's a little pencil. You click there and you change the Facebook page right here. Boom. This already has the HTTPS:// so just delete that in front. And we're going to open this up in a new window. And you don't need to have a no follow link. You just can ignore that one and then click update. And then you do the same thing for your LinkedIn, your YouTube, and your TikTok, whatever you got. Okay. If you need to add a social, you can just click add social and you can select your social icon here. It's got a bunch of them in there. All right. So now I'm going to show you a quick little trick. We're at almost 30 minutes on this training, so I wanted to kind of wrap this up quickly. But remember how we wrote this telephone number in here? So rather than just writing the telephone number, I'm going to turn this into a button. And the reason I'm going to turn it into a button is because I want somebody to be able to view it on a mobile device and then click on that button and it'll automatically dial their telephone number or your telephone number. So I'm going to change that to a button. I'm going to click and drag that phone number over again. And I'm going to change the color. Change the text color first. We're going to change it to black. I'm going to change the text to my telephone number. So instead of click to sign up, we're going to just change that to the telephone number. And then we're going to change the background color. And we're going to change it to transparent. You could change it to white too, but for this one, we're going to change it to transparent. And now we're going to change the button actions down the bottom. Instead of pop-up, we're going to have call or SMS. If you're dealing with mobile, I would just have it turn into SMS. But for this one, I'm going to turn it into a call. And then you type in the phone number that you want it to call and click save. So now, if they're on a mobile device, they click on that number, it'll actually it'll just initiate a phone call directly to you. So they won't have to type in the number at all, which is really nice. All right, so that's basically the basics of it, right? We have all our different features. One thing we're missing though is this background image. We're also missing the background color. So how do we change that? First thing we can do is on the background section. So right here is the background section. We've got this little gear right here. Open up the settings. And on the left-hand or on the right-hand side, you've got background media, BG media, and the media URL. And then you would just choose an image from your library. If you don't have an image, then you can search your media up here. and there's backgrounds. There you can also pull out a free one from Unsplash or Pixabay. Right, so you might want to type in elderly and pick up. There you go. That looks like a good image right there. And now we've got a nice image in our background. Now, the colors are a little bit too intense. You see, I'm losing my text right here. Couple things you can do about it. A, you could change the color of your text. You could also change the color of the background of this element. So you could change this element background right here. And just like you changed the background of the section, you could change the background of this element and change it to like a lighter color. You could also just dim down this image a little bit. So right now it's got a background image opacity and it's got none, and we're going to do a heavy fade. You can also do a light fade, half fade. Half fade looks pretty. And that looks a lot better. That image is not so vibrant. Okay. What we also want to do is we want to change the color of this footer right here. But I noticed I didn't put the footer in the footer section. I messed that up. So how do we move that? So we got these columns right here. We have 3 columns. And then if you move up just a little bit, we've got this footer row. And we're going to click on this little icon right here, the drag icon. We're going to drag that down. And there we go. So it just pulled that whole section or that whole row down into the lower section. And now we can change the background on this lower section. And I think it was just a background color that they added. So click here on this little, and that popped up over on the right-hand side. And instead of background color white, we're just going to turn that a light gray. There you go. And that's the basics of how you set that up. There's also lots of things you can do as far as margins are concerned and things like that. But for now, that's the basics of how you set up a website or a funnel page. Now, what's the difference between a funnel and a website? We'll get into. What I'm also going to show you is the main difference is once they click that submit button, what do you do with it? So in a funnel, you would dictate what the second page is of that funnel, which is typically a thank you page or something like that, right? So you would just send it to the thank you page, and the thank you page would have your calendar on it or whatever you wanted to. Okay? And you would set that up the same way. All right. For the next one, we'll go into how to set up the forms and surveys and some custom fields so you know how to do that.